In chapter 15, I talk about guardian animals. And in this training, I talk about Maremma dogs, alpacas, and then a few other animals that you could use to guard your chickens from predators. I hope you enjoy the training.
Guardian animals. We've got um, there's two main ones that you'll use. They are Maremma dogs and alpacas. So I'll get straight into it. So Maremma dogs. I'll just give you a bit of a rundown. Probably Maremma dogs and alpacas. I could probably speak for half an hour or an hour on each, just different stories and things I've learnt when working with them. But I'd rather just give you straight to the point what you need to know. And I'll also let you know I am not a Maremma dog expert. I haven't been a breeder for 20 years or anything. I've worked with them on several farms. I know a little bit about them, but I'm not by any means the Australian Maremma dog expert. So a few tips with Maremma dogs. So start them right. So when you get a Maremma dog, I recommend get them as a puppy, 6 weeks or 8 weeks old, as soon as they're weaned. Have your chickens in an electric fence square. When you bring your Maremma dog home, don't take it up to the house and put it in the laundry for the first 3 nights and feed it yummy food. Just drive it straight down to the paddock, put it over the fence, turn the electric fence on, and drive off. You want that little puppy to learn that its home is with the chickens down the paddock. You don't want to let that dog know that there's a nice warm house and a veranda to sleep on and the kids to give it pats and cuddles and that, because that dog might just want to bond with your kids or your other dog or something around the house. You want to start them right. So that's the first tip. Remember, with Maremma dogs, not all dogs are equal. I often use the example, Maremma dogs can be like a sheepdog. You could have 10 of them in a row. You've got one at one end that is worth $10,000 and you wouldn't sell it. It's just, it works amazingly. It's so intelligent. It's great. You've got the other end. You want to give it away or shoot it. It just doesn't work real well. It could be genetics. It could be training. It could be like the temperament and personality of the dog. Maremma dogs are a bit like that as well. So don't think you just go out to your local breeder, get a Maremma dog, bring it home, and happy days. In a lot of cases, it will be the case, but in some, it won't be. That they're not all equal. And that can be genetics, it can be training, like how you started them. It could have been just the personality of the dog. So just keep that in mind. I don't want you to go get a Maremma dog and go, this is the silver bullet that will fix everything on the farm. Maremma dogs, so they'll protect your hens from dogs, foxes, dingoes, and eagles. So pretty well anything that's going to come after your birds, a good Maremma dog will be great on all of them. Maremma dogs, pros. So they can protect your hens from almost anything. Good dogs don't need any fencing. So I'll just cover this here. So we've got some farmers that they've got 1,000 acres or more. They don't use any fencing. The dog knows that wherever that caravan moves to, that's home. And the dog will stay within a 50-metre or maybe 100-metre radius, and most of the time just sleep under the awnings, the walls of the chicken caravan, and they'll just move around. Now they can do that because they've got a large area, so they don't use any fencing. Now you can't use that on a small area. So you imagine I've got 50 acres, I'm moving the caravan around, it gets up near the neighbour's fence, and there's cows walk up to the fence. Well, the Maremma dog says, well, that's foreign. I want to chase that. I want to bark at it. I want to get that out of my domain. The Maremma dog doesn't realise that, hey, that's the neighbour's fence and I shouldn't go chase his cow or sheep or cattle or other dog or whatever. So it probably doesn't apply to every farm, but just if you're got a farm that's a few hundred acres, like 1,000 acres or more, the right Maremma dog could follow your chickens around, and you may be able to have a system without fences. Some of the downsides to the Maremma dogs, they can sometimes be hard to buy. It's not a case if we jump online right now, you've got one within 20 kilometres of you that is selling 6-week-old pups. So it's probably like any dog that you've got to wait till there's sort of one available. It's probably not like your average Kelpie in a rural area that everyone's sort of breeding Kelpies and you can get your hands on them like every second week. So they can be a little bit hard to buy. You have to feed them. Now, I don't want to sound cruel here. I do like to feed my animals. When I say I have to feed them versus an alpaca, it eats the grass, but we'll sort of cover that later. So when I say you have to feed them, you're going to have to take out down dog biscuits or bones or meat or something, probably on a daily basis. So just keep that in mind, that they do take a bit of like daily care. As I said before, they can be hit and miss. Like if you get a good one or a bad one, and that can just be personality, temperament, genetics, whatever. The other thing, not very common, but I do want to say this in case someone's about to go out and get one, they can be aggressive. Like they are a guard dog. So bear in mind, I probably wouldn't have a Maremma dog if I've got a 2 or a 3-year-old that's often coming in with me collecting the eggs, because my little son or daughter may be chasing one of the chickens, and I don't know, you've got a big dog with a big mouth and that, you don't want to find that it mauls a kid or something. Also, being a guard dog, if you've got a lot of visitors to your farm and you're taking them down to the chickens, they're a guard dog. They're going to know you, that you're okay, and I don't think that's going to be your problem. It's more going to be if there's someone new around, they could be aggressive, and some dogs may bite. Yeah, not something really common, but just bear in mind, it is a guard dog. Alpacas. Alpacas work quite well. The interesting story with alpacas, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. When we first started our farm back in 2010, we had Maremma dogs. Well, close to town though. So Maremma dogs, they bark at night. They can make a lot of noise. So, and we didn't get any complaints from neighbours or anything, but we thought, well, close to town, we don't want to wait till they complain because we've got like a couple of Maremmas barking all night. And what I said before, like we had people coming to the farm and we're aware that you've got these guard dogs that are barking. It doesn't sometimes present the most inviting farm to sort of come to when you've got these big dogs barking at you. So like, let's look at other options. So we looked at alpacas. Now at the time, I Googled and I looked everywhere in Australia and on the planet. I couldn't find anyone using alpacas with chickens. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I know they're a guardian animal with sheep. Let's try them with chickens. I don't know what's going to happen. So I was trialing them with chickens, and then a particular farmer from Victoria came up, saw our farm, and then they thought, oh, let's get alpacas. And a few other people saw their farm and got alpacas. And now throughout Australia, there would be well over 50 farms using alpacas with chickens. But here's the funny bit. I was still trialing them. I didn't have a clue if they worked, but word got around that Daniel O'Brien from Chicken Caravan uses alpacas with the chickens. So people said, therefore they must work. So it's only been in recent years, and like after I've had them for a while, realized they actually do work. Alpacas don't like foxes. They can smell them, and foxes don't like alpacas. So I've now heard feedback from some of our customers that are running alpacas where they've had a few flocks of chickens in a 40-acre paddock, and the alpacas range on the outside of the fences in that 40 acres. And I think he's had like 4 or 5 of them. And a fox was in the paddock, and these 5 of them like surrounded this fox, and one of them went in and started kicking it, and it didn't quite kill the fox. Like, the fox ran away, but I don't think that fox is going to come back. So I do know that they work. I just thought I'd share that funny story with you. There I was in the trial stages, and everyone out there was buying alpacas and running them with their chickens. So the alpacas to get, you want cut males. So you want wethers that are 18 months or older. So don't get females. Don't get a mother with a little baby at foot. She's not going to work. She's not as much as territorial as the cut males. And we've got feedback from this with people that have males, females, and also wethers. The wethers are just better. I think they roam a bit better rather than staying in one spot. They just work better. Run them in pairs. So they do like company. So don't get one alpaca. It's probably not going to work real well because that alpaca is going to want a friend. Protects hens from dogs, foxes, dingoes. Does not protect them from eagles. So just bear that in mind. If you're in a region that you've got eagles, it's not going to protect them against that. Also, they need shearing. So I think in Australia, October, November, there'll be people around that do shearing. You will need to get them shorn. They're not self-shedding. They've actually got a wool, and that's where a lot of people do breed alpacas for, is the wool. So it's a bit of information on the alpacas. So some of the pros, you don't need to feed them daily. So long as you've got reasonable pasture, they'll just eat the grass. If you're in a region that's a bit drier and you don't have as much grass, you might put some bales of lucerne in, or you can actually get alpaca pellets that have got the right amount of proteins and minerals and such for their health. But from what I've found on most farms that got reasonable ground cover, you don't need to feed them. On a chicken caravan anyway, they've got water points at the front of the caravan, actual bowls. That's for your alpacas or your dogs. So just bear in mind, if you decide to go with nipple drinkers, don't overlook the fact of where are your alpacas and dogs going to drink from. So you will need like a dog bowl for your dogs or alpacas. So other pros, they're easy to work with. They're pretty quiet animals. They're not aggressive. They're not noisy. If you've got them inside your fences, they'll just cruise around there, even if it's a quarter hectare, 50 metres by 50 metres. Or in the other case, as I said, if you've got like a paddock fenced off that's not too big, but something like 30 to 40 acres or less, the alpacas can roam in that area, and you may want a few more than 2 for that area so they can roam around. If you've got your chickens inside that area, inside electric fence, so they've got to get past the alpacas and then over or through a fence or something. So there's some of the pros. The cons, they need shearing. So if you're not in a region that has someone that can shear alpacas close by, that could be a bit of a cost, or you might be jumping online and buying a shearing machine and learning how to shear alpacas. They do not protect against eagles. So I haven't found that eagles are a big problem on most farms. There are a few farms that have eagles. So if that's something where you're located, there's going to be eagles, alpacas may not be the best option. Dogs may be better in that case. Other protection animals. I wanted to cover a few others. Now, just keep in mind, I haven't had experience with some of these. So the first one is donkeys. I've heard people using these. They run a couple of donkeys with sheep. I haven't heard anyone running them with chickens. Give me time. I'll probably trial it and see how it goes. But I pulled up this story. This is from America, from Georgia Outdoor News. This particular guy, his neighbor phoned him up and said saw a coyote heading up towards his place. So anyway, he went out. Like, you can read the full article online. He went out. By the time I got over there, the Buck, which is the name of the donkey, Buck was stomping the coyote. Then he reached down and picked him up by the neck and started slinging him like a rag doll. I grabbed my phone and got 2 pictures. So coyote's like, I don't know, it's sort of like a wolf or fox. It's anyway, something in America that probably resembles what foxes are in Australia, something that gets into your chickens and that. So there's a donkey taking out something, by the look of that would be the size of a fox or bigger. So there you go. Donkeys, they don't like foxes. Again, just so you know, I haven't trialed donkeys with chickens against foxes, but I'm just giving you some other ideas because you might just have a neighbor that wants to get rid of a donkey and you could say, I might take that donkey. Next one, geese. I've had a couple of people that I've personally spoken to, they've used geese. They've had good results, but I don't have much more data than that. They said the geese worked well. I just got some pictures off Google here of some geese attacking foxes. So geese are quite big. They're quite loud. I've heard people just put like 2 of them in with the chicken caravan just in the net. They don't really fly out. They just like honk and get around and whatever. And foxes don't like them because I think they're alert at night where the chickens are asleep, and they'll let the fox know that it's not welcome. So geese, again, I haven't personally tried it, but I'd be keen to. I know they're good guard animals. My mother growing up, they had geese and they never had anyone stealing fuel or anyone came to the house. They knew that, these geese would have a good go at you if you're up to no good. The last one is the good old domestic dog. This is something we have used. So in this picture here, that's my brother's dog, Kimmy. This is a few years ago. Little dog Kimmy is no longer with us. But she was we don't know what she was. I think she had a bit of Kelpie, a little bit of cattle dog, and I think like a little bit of Whippet or Greyhound because she was quite a slim dog. Didn't used to bark much at all, but because she'd grown up with chickens just in the backyard or on the property before we had the chicken farm, she didn't like attack them or maul them or anything. She was quite cruisy. And this particular time, I think we didn't have an alpaca or a Maremma dog. This was a particular flock. And we thought, let's throw Kimmy in there. And right now she's eating a big bone or something. So we'd throw a bone over the fence each day and a bit of dog food. And she was cruisy. She was with the chickens for quite a while. Not every breed. I wouldn't encourage you to go get your little fox terrier and throw it in with your chickens because it might have more fun than a fox. But the right dog, the right temperament can go really well. Also bear in mind, if you've got some dog that has absolutely been attached to you for 10 years, used to being sitting on your back veranda, it may not be too happy if you pick it up one day and then throw it in with the chickens. But as I said, you'll know your dog if that's going to work. Don't underestimate the power of any dog, really. But any dog other than a Maremma, it's probably not going to really bond with the chickens and really learn that that's home. But I've found most dogs, if a fox or something's coming around, they'll normally smell it or see it or hear it, and they'll normally bark at it. And that's mainly what you want. Probably similar to an eagle. I'm pretty sure if an eagle landed in there right now and that black dog Kimmy, she'd be onto it. She'd be barking. And the other thing, the eagle wouldn't come down. Eagle, it's got really good eyesight. It can see, okay, there's chickens there. If it can see a dog also walking around, it's probably not going to be game to go down and actually land on the ground. It probably wants to pick up something mid-flight. So I really hope this has been helpful to you for learning about guardian animals. And I'll talk to you next time on the next webinar.